What's up, guys? It's Javi from the Bullpen Mafia. The Mafia is back for Season 2, and we have a great episode lined up for you guys today. Jon Jay, the Miami legend, is in the building. We're going to hear about his time at the University of Miami, his World Series championship, and being back in St. Louis coaching the Cardinals. As always, follow us on all socials, Instagram, Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. We are wherever podcasts are found. Without further ado, here's today's episode. We're coming live from the Magic City Sound Studio, Westchester, Florida.
With our boy, Paul Andrew.
With our producer, Paul Garcia, one of my Columbus boys. We are now outnumbering Toad. Well, I guess...
Back up. Hold on. Paul and I...
We got a lot... We have to... Go ahead.
We're St. Thomas Tornadoes.
Yeah. Okay.
Before being explorers.
So we have Paul Garcia, the owner of this studio, went to elementary school with you, Toad.
Yes.
He went to Columbus with me. It'd be interesting to see where his loyalties lie because it's going to shift the balance of power. PD, you could claim PD.
No. Bottom line is Paul is now part of the Bullpen Mafia.
Yep.
We're thrilled to be back. We were assessing the Mafia after Season 1. We took a little break, a hiatus, if you will, to recharge, get our creative juices going again, right? And we're back. We're in a new studio. The biggest change for me, I'm right next to you.
Yeah.
This is new for us.
Toad's not behind a screen anymore. Now Paul is behind the magic curtain. Yes, that was Paul. I don't know if people can hear that.
No, the producer,
they can't hear that.
We're gonna get there eventually, but Paul does not have a mic right now. He will.
Not yet.
Exactly. Paul, don't let him fool you. He might be the music man.
PD and Paul, dude, that's a dangerous combo.
That's a religious combo.
Yeah. And we can't really see Paul. We can't see PD right now.
Wow.
So we never see
Peter and Paul.
Yeah, Peter and Paul.
P&P. Sounds like a 90s R&B group.
Sure. We're back. We're excited. Like Toad mentioned, we spent some time trying to figure out next steps for the Mafia. We kind of need a new front office. We had to, undergo. We had a first season. What would you say our record was?
That's
under 500 probably.
Man,
really?
That's tough.
We didn't make the playoffs.
No.
In an expanded playoff of podcasts, we didn't make the playoffs.
But you want some coach speak? We learned a lot. Our guys played hard.
Yeah, that we did.
We
met a lot of cool people.
Yeah.
Locker room is great. The vibes are high.
Yeah.
A lot of glue guys.
A lot of glue. I mean, we like to say we are the home for glue guys.
We are the home. We are the safe harbor for glue guys. There's no ice coming for the glue guys in this podcast.
But Javi, enough about us. Baseball somehow is around the corner. Pitchers and catchers report in about a week.
Today's February 6th, so roughly a week.
Yes, the Super Bowl's this Sunday.
Yeah.
And then bang, baseball's back.
This is the best. If you're a minor leaguer or you are reporting to camp, I saw a bunch of guys' Instagrams. I saw Brandon Woodruff was packing stuff up. I saw all these guys getting ready to go. Pitchers and catchers report technically the 12th or the 13th, but guys get there a few days early. They all start showing up to the field. All the new swag gets there. You get your clothes, your spikes, the new gloves, the bats. Like, this is like baseball heaven the next couple of weeks.
Put me in your shoes, the listeners. What's it like for a guy going into pitchers and catchers? Why don't you take us back all the way to your first time walking into the Brewers spring training facility? What kind of emotions are you toying with? Is it kind of that? I'm assuming, again, my baseball experience is limited to high school, if that. I'm assuming it's a little bit like the first day of school jitters.
It's crazy. So I was extremely fortunate to go early all of my years to spring training. So as a minor leaguer, you're hoping for that phone call to say, hey, come when the big leaguers come, because you want to be around those guys. Right. It's a tremendous learning experience. I'd say from the day you pack your bag, you get to spring. And in Arizona, Florida's great for spring training. Arizona's on another level. Everybody is 40 minutes away from each other. You're coming into the same airport. When you are flying into Arizona, one of the coolest things I think is obviously you have your team issued big duffel bags. So I have my big Brewers bag. You see Brewers bags, Giants bags. I mean, all sorts of stuff coming off because everyone's there for the same reason. It's amazing. You walk into that facility. First of all, you see guys you've never met before, which is scary in and of itself because we're all fighting for the same. Yeah, it's super intimidating. You have 40 draftees. You have all the guys from the Dominican complex. It's incredibly intimidating walking inside the locker room. But then again, you see all your teammates, all the guys that you were with last year, you hadn't seen all off season. You're all pent up and you're riled up. Like the first day's a physical, so you can't really get much done. But just being around the guys, it's just guys being dudes, man. There's so much bro energy in that locker room, and it's something you just don't understand it until you're in there.
On that bro energy, we mentioned it already, being a glue guy, you're in an interesting spot, right? You mentioned the Dominican guys. You're American-born. You're from Miami, but you're very much Cuban, and your Spanish is perfect, super fluent. You are a citizen of de España.
One quick aside on that.
Okay.
I am pissed. I'm going to look into the camera. I should be on the World Baseball Classic team for Spain. If you guys need a right-handed arm, I will play. That I have my citizenship. I am a citizen of Spain. I will be on the first flight to Madrid, wherever you need me. I will play in the World Baseball Classic. Go ahead.
Well, if we're begging for roster spots, I'm going to talk to the Miami Marlins right now. You guys need a new PA guy. I can do the PA.
Now batting.
Yeah. We'll get into that later. I'm going to submit a formal application video. They're looking for videos. We have until mid-February, I think, to submit it. But
kind of late.
Yeah.
Marlins are on the hot seat.
Throw them into the fire.
Let's go.
Whatever. Moving on. You're a glue guy in these locker rooms, right? I'm taking us back, right? You're new. You speak English. Again, you're Cuban. You're from Miami. So you speak perfect Spanish. And you mentioned these Dominican guys. What's it like for a kid like you who, for all intents and purposes, you look white. You look like any other guy who could have played in the SEC or wherever in the U.S. And then you meet these Dominican guys, Cuban guys, whoever. What was that experience like? Were you able to help out the Dominican guys and the Latin guys with some of that U.S. culture shock? And were you the intermediary?
I was the bridge, baby.
Yeah.
I was the bridge. There are not a lot of fluent English Spanish speakers, right? So like ton of English speakers, ton of Spanish speakers, really nobody that can sit in the middle and kind of play referee between both sides, which is hilarious when you are a fluent in both languages, because you understand both sides, you understand what they're saying to each other, the insults. But for me, I was so fortunate because first of all, I could forge relationships with guys who needed me, right? A lot of the Latin speakers, for many of them, it was their first time in the States. It was their first time in Arizona.
Right.
It is a total culture shock. They have to get around. They have to navigate. They have to figure out bank accounts. They have to figure out all these sorts of things that they never had to think about before. And they're doing it with their second language, right? So you really start to understand and realize, like, the journey for Major League Baseball is so difficult for a native-born English speaker. If you're a first language Spanish speaker, it's your first time in the States, you are so behind the eight ball, and people don't realize that journey to make it. I can't wait to have our first Latin-born player on the Mafia, so you can hear from their perspective. I think that's so important, and it gets so lost. I mean, people don't really realize.
Yeah, people take it for granted. Even someone like Juan Soto, who is one of the greatest players of the modern generation.
Yeah.
People are already comparing him to the likes of Barry Bonds as far as being a pure hitter and a five-tool player. Juan Soto had to commit himself to learning English, and
which he's done a great job at.
and engrossing himself in American culture, because I think these guys understand that that's a big selling point about trying to get that big contract. You can't be a face of a franchise, really, if you don't speak some English, unless you're Shohei Ohtani, who has a translator that he's willing to throw under the bus when he...
Come on, dude.
It had to be said. But it's an I think it's an unspoken part of baseball.
Nobody knows.
Right?
Nobody knows how difficult it is. No. There's an English class on every Major League Baseball complex every single day. So guys are taking English classes in some capacity. They graduate from English classes. There's the ability for them to continue taking English classes. And then more so, it's a school of hard knocks, right? Because like I said, you're coming from the Dominican Republic and you're dropped in Scottsdale, Arizona with not a word of English being spoken. You're behind the eight ball. So I really do give a lot of credit. A guy like Juan Soto, look, Juan Soto has made himself at, he's 25 years old, the face of Major League Baseball, 15-year contract. He's in the biggest city in the world. This is a guy who 10 years ago probably was experiencing that first time in the States, wins a World Series at 19 years old. So like Juan Soto's career trajectory, unbelievable. That probably leads us into the story of the offseason has been Juan Soto. It was the Juan Soto sweepstakes. Got done a lot quicker than we probably anticipated, Toad. Signing with the New York Mets, a massive massive deal. Ramifications across Major League Baseball. Steve Cohen gets his guy.
And it seemed to come down to Juan Soto just not liking New York Yankees security.
Crazy that's going to be what Yankee fans will look back on is why didn't we get Juan Soto? Well, there was a lot of things. He said he hadn't texted the group chat. There was like...
Soto seems maybe a little more humble than people would think. He's definitely, other than the Soto shuffle, he comes across, at least to me, as a guy who lets his play do the talking.
Yeah.
And maybe, his personality, a little more reserved, didn't really mesh with that Yankees team, right? That team had a lot of quote-unquote leaders, too.
Right.
Judge, Garrett Cole, an outspoken guy like Glaber and Verdugo. Did I mention Garrett Cole?
And I think they had a manager, too, with a big persona, right?
Yeah.
Like Boone.
So it was hard for Soto to be the guy
there,
right? And now he's going to the Mets where he's undoubtedly that dude.
The guy.
Everyone's going to be looking to him. But as of today, the big breaking news today is Polar Pete back with the Mets. So too early to say probably, but going into the season, Mets, Phillies, oh my God, I'm forgetting.
Dodgers,
the Dodgers.
Dude. The Dodgers, if we thought the Mets had a massive offseason, the Dodgers took it to a whole nother level. They win the World Series. They go out and sign Blake Snell. They signed the top Japanese prospect, which you're talking about as probably one of the greatest pitching prospects ever, Roki Sasaki. It was like, how is it possible that the Dodgers continue?
Well, they're punting on all the payments.
They punt on the pay. Someone is going to foot the bill for the Dodgers.
Here's the thing about the deferred payments. Manfred came out today and said that he doesn't think the Dodgers are ruining baseball, so on and so forth. But if deferred payments are possible for every team, the ultra wealthy teams are just going to keep doing it because their pockets are endless.
Right.
And I'm not saying that it's not fair to other teams because the Marlins could do it if they wanted to, right? As a small market team, but
the Marlins could sign anybody for that matter.
Yeah.
One guy would be nice.
The problem is I think it's an odd situation that I think the money you're spending needs to count against your cap. There's no cap, but it needs to be part of your what's the term I'm thinking? Like your team salary.
Right.
Like that needs to be lumped into the current one. Yeah. I just don't find it realistic that the teams could stay consistent with these deferred payments. Like when does it end? Right.
Look, there's a part of me that agrees with you, Toad, but there's another part of me that owners that want to win will do whatever they can to win. Right. So like the Dodgers ownership group has proven they are not going to be stopped. Yes, this is available for all teams in Major League Baseball. Is everyone doing deferred payments? Absolutely not. Steve Cohen said he's going to pay Juan Soto every penny the day it's due. Polar Pete got a $10 million signing bonus yesterday. So some teams are opting just to spend right up front. That looks like what Steve Cohen's going to do. The Dodgers are finding ways to stay competitive and have all of their players in their peak at the same time. This is a team that has Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Blake Snell, Tyler Glasnow. Like, you go down this list of players, and I didn't even mention Shohei Ohtani. So, like, it's a ridiculous lineup that got better somehow. But as a Marlins fan, as someone who is starving for our hometown team to do something, seeing everybody else in baseball get better and your team not even have the initiative to sign a single free agent, it sucks.
That's not part of the plan. We've spoken about this at length in season 1, but we might not agree with what Bendix is doing right now, but at least he's sticking to his guns.
Right.
I think the biggest knock on Bendix, I don't even think it's the baseball side. I know he gets trolled a lot online about his lack of spending, but I think it's the way he kind of navigates the media, right?
Yeah.
I think we can see and tell what the Marlins plan is, but I think people and fans would accept it or be more open to the thought of what the Marlins rebuild is becoming if they were transparent.
Right.
If Bendix and
out in the open talking about it.
just like, hey, like this is our plan. Right. We are trying to do XYZ. Stick with us. I think that goes a long way in sports, right? The Dodgers, Yankees, Mets, the money does the talking. Right? Like that's the obvious plan. But those plans are harder to communicate with fans, with even players within your own organization, when it seems that everything's in the dark, everything's like a secret formula. Just tell us.
Right.
We want to know. We want to feel part of the process.
We want to be part of it. Yeah.
And finally you want to believe in it.
Yeah.
I can't believe in your plan if you're not telling me
Right.
anything about it.
Yeah.
Like, just be honest.
Yeah.
Like, let us in.
We can go on and on about the Marlins, and we certainly will. There are a lot of things we're really excited about the baseball season this year. Obviously, we talked about the Mets. We talked about the Dodgers. The Yankees spent a ton of money. Baseball is back. There is sincere excitement for this league. There is sincere excitement for, again, what does this year have to offer? We kind of have an idea who the teams are, Toad, we think will be the perennial playoff teams.
But there are going to be surprises.
I was about to say, there always are surprises. This is never as formulaic as you think. Yes, the owners that spend.
It's 162 games.
162,
Anything can happen.
162.
Shohei Ohtani can break his hand on opening day.
Knock on wood.
Freddie Freeman can, the Dodgers can implode. And
the Dodgers didn't look great a month and a half before the playoffs, right?
No.
They were kind of scuffling in. Teams are getting hot. They were kind of falling back to the pack. Just takes a couple of weeks, man.
We'll get into those sort of predictions the closer we get to opening day, but it's going to be an interesting spring training. I know there's a lot of new faces.
A lot of unsigned players.
But, well, speaking of spring training, someone's coming here.
Yes, we have probably the ultimate glue guy, Miami's glue guy, Christopher Columbus Explorer, our first Christopher Columbus Explorer. Toad had me beat. You had two, right? You had two Belen guys. Or no, one. Nick Martinez. So now we're even the scales. We're even.
But now our producer's a Columbus guy.
Yeah. So
Adelante, Sea Pride.
So Jon Jay will be in studio, our first in studio podcast.
Well, second. Adrian
That's right.
Lorenzo.
Adrian Lorenzo.
There's the other Belen.
That's right. So you are beating me 2-1. I knew those two Belen guys. John will be in studio. I'm going to brag on John because he's not here, but John was the mentor for everyone that played baseball in Miami. He was kind of like the North Star. Parents talked about him, be more like John. He does everything right. A guy who has tremendous, fundamentally sound baseball player, World Series champion, graduate of the University of Miami.
Former Marlins first base coach. He's back with the Cardinals.
Back home with the Cardinals.
In the same capacity, similar capacity?
We'll find out today. We'll find out. We'll get the exact scoop on what John is going to be doing with the Cardinals this year. So we're excited to have him.
Absolutely. So stick with us. After this quick little break, Jon Jay is joining the Mafia right here in studio.
We teased it out at the opener. We have a very special guest with us, Miami legend. Toad had me with two Belen guys on the pod before Columbus guys. So thank you for coming on. Miami legend Jon Jay, Christopher Columbus grad, University of Miami grad, World Series champion. Welcome to the Mafia.
Thanks for having me. And it's long overdue that I show up here. So let's do this.
Long text chain trying to get John to come on the pod, but worth the wait.
Free agency, bro. He's like a Boris client, bro. Waits till the last minute, right before pitchers and catchers report to come on the show. But I mean, I alluded to it. Miami legend. I think that goes. I'm probably putting it lightly, man. You're Christopher Columbus, born and raised here, played at the University of Miami. You're probably the dream for so many young kids to be able to play at their dream university, win a World Series, and obviously you're still in baseball. I think, John, we love to start with we're minor leaguers, man. So we always start with this question with all our guests. Tell us about your call-up story.
Oh, man. It was, I'll never forget. I was in Oklahoma City. We were playing the Rangers AAA team there, and I get a call in the morning, and it was it. It was like, I see the manager calling me. I'm like, why is he calling me this early? Like, did I do something wrong? What's going on? And he's like, hey, man, you're going to the big league. So I'll never forget calling my parents and just, calling everybody at home and just letting them know that, we did it. When I say we, it took a village for me to get there and to be where I'm at today. So it was nice to just kind of call all those people that helped me get to that point and just share that special moment with them. And then I remember I got to the game. It was like the third inning or so. And, you walk in late to the game, hanging out. Chris Carpenter was throwing a gem. And I remember he had like 75 pitches or so, 80 pitches. And, this is when pitchers still hit. So they told me that they weren't going to pinch it for him. So I'm just hanging out, and then all of a sudden that changed quickly, and we were pinch hitting for him, and I was a pinch hitter, so I went up there quick and took my first strike out there. But it was nice to get out there.
Who got you?
Tim Hudson.
Oh, wow.
Tim Hudson,
wow.
a legend.
So wait, this was in Oakland. Where was your
No, he was with the Braves at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was in St. Louis at Busch Stadium.
In St. Louis,
Old Busch.
Oh no, New Busch.
New Busch?
Yeah, Busch has been around since 2006.
Damn.
Wow. I actually got to go to Old Busch.
Oh, it's pretty sweet.
Been to the top of the arch and everything.
There you go. I still haven't been to the top of the arch.
What?
Yeah, I might have to do it this year. We'll see.
Wow.
You mentioned Chris Carpenter, so you joined a loaded team, right? I mean, you're in AAA. You joined the St. Louis Cardinals in 2011. They go on to win the World Series that year, but Carpenter, Pujols, Matt Holliday, David Freese, these names that are household names now. How'd you find your way? What was that first year like for Jon Jay in a locker room full of MLB legends?
I think for me it was just first proving to them that I belonged, but the way I did that is just the same thing I did my whole life, right? Just put my head down and went to work. So, I just wanted these guys to respect me, and went about my business the right way. And I think it was like after a couple months, they really took me in, and they noticed how I worked, and the guys are great. Skip Schumacher, Chris Carpenter, Matt Holliday, these guys were instrumental in my career. Yadier Molina, Albert Pujols giving me little tips, pointers. Lance Berkman was on that team as well. Rafael Furcal. So
Wow.
I was super, super lucky to be with like all these veteran legends and, guys that I grew up watching, right? Like these are guys that, you're in high school and college, you're watching these guys play, and the next, they're my teammate, which is like something that to this day is it's unreal to me. It's cool.
You got all those names you just mentioned, and you play in the World Series that year, man. I mean, like you think about, Toad and I were talking before, like this time of year, everyone's reporting to spring training, minor leaguers start their journey, and it's so exciting. I remember I would show up, and you never really know what the course of your career is going to take in the course of a season, right? So you're in AAA that year, and you end the season in October with a World Series championship. What does Jon Jay think playing in a World Series, thinking, hey, I called my parents a couple months ago to tell them I'm making it to the major leagues. Now the whole world is watching me in the World Series.
No, it was something that was crazy, but I always look back to growing up in Miami, right? I think that prepared me for all these moments, right? We talked about earlier, playing at Columbus, playing at UM, at the biggest stages at that moment in life, right? When in high school, playing at Columbus was the biggest stage, and playing at UM, and then so those moments helped me for that moment when I was in St. Louis, and I kind of always told myself in my head, like, my boy Marty used to always tell me, like, big moments, hey, think you're at Mark Light. So that was always like my motto, right? Like, hey, Mark Light him. Like, I'm at Mark Light Stadium, and that's what I was kind of visualize. I'm at home in front of my friends and family, and kind of kept it. But it was surreal, right? Playing in the World Series, all eyes are on you, all these superstars, and, going down to the wire. It was an unbelievable series.
Unbelievable series.
It was crazy. So, I look back now where I can really reflect and look back on different moments and things that happened. And, like, you look at that series, and the cool thing for our team is like everyone played a part. Like I can name somebody in the roster and like tell you a moment where like, oh, this guy did this in this moment that if he wouldn't have done that, we wouldn't have advanced or whatever the case may be. So it makes it really special.
John, you touched on something that Eric and I were talking about beforehand. It's Miami, right? There's so much about the city of Miami that you embody. We go into your vault, as you call it. There's stuff, but the one theme that you see in that place is Miami, right? And we saw you post a video the other day with your son at Mark Light. What's it like for you to go back to that stadium, to go back with your kids now, a place that you love, a place that you're always around? I mean, people around the program, I consider myself around the program. Jon Jay is always around. That place is special to you, but put into words what Mark Light Stadium, what the University of Miami means to you.
No, it's everything, right? Like growing up here, I remember going to Ron Frazier baseball camp in like 1991 and 1992.
You just gave away your age, bro.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, so like I remember I have pictures of me at these camps, and like my dream in life was like it wasn't to be a big leaguer. My dream in life was to play for the Canes. Like that was what I wanted to do. That was all. Everything else was like has been like a huge bonus, but the Canes are everything. And, to be able to take my son back there and like, just to be able to hang out there whenever I want, it's something that's super cool. Like, my son and I will go, he takes his scooter, takes his bike, and, we'll go hit the cage and we'll go roll around. And like, GM, he loves GM. GM's his guy. So it's awesome to be able to share those moments with him now, which is pretty cool.
Does he have a favorite milkshake flavor yet?
Nah, he's not a big milkshake. The kid, he only eats gummy bears. He doesn't eat any desserts.
No, we're going to Canes Media Day on Monday. We'll have to tell him to get a gummy bear milkshake on the menu.
There we go.
We'll call it the JJ.
The J.
Or the J?
Yeah, I like the Oreo shake. To me, it's like that's it's all good with that.
This is a natural segue. I love a good natural segue. You bring up an Oreo milkshake. I immediately think of Oreo Dunks, right? The shoe collection. Nike SBs, shoes, Jon Jay, completely synonymous. Can you give us a recap, or at what point in your life did the collection start? Javi and I have seen it. It's
insane.
It's insane.
That doesn't do it justice.
To paint the picture for people listening or watching on YouTube, you walk into John's shrine of shoes, and you walk into the first room, you see a couple, you see the cleats, and then you walk into the storage vault, and no lie, How many shoes is it?
Too many shoes. I can't give that away. No, too many shoes.
There's no coach on an MLB roster with the heat you have. Can we safely say that?
I mean, there's some guys out there. No, I got a lot of buddies that got some shoes out there. But no, for me, it started when I was young. I mean, ever since I was a kid, shoes were like, I was always just attracted to shoes. Like, it was like, I remember like the Deons coming out when I was in, 3rd grade, and the Pippins came out, the Up-Tempos in 5th grade, and Jordan's, I was born the same year Jordan's rookie year, so I was kind of like, always infatuated with, I was 8 years old, the 8s are coming out, the 9s, the 10s, and all that. So I remember all that stuff. And then, being at UM, we were a Nike school, so we used to get a lot of, like the cool turfs and cool different things. And then, as soon as I got a paycheck where I was able to like go out there and get some stuff.
You started and never stopped.
That's exactly. No, I slowed down a little bit, but no, yeah. So basically, it started for me in right after college in 2006, and that's when it started for me. I remember going to Journeys and getting dunks at Journeys and like different things. And I
can't do that anymore.
No,
everything's online.
Games change.
It's
the
not
bots,
the same,
bro. I'm competing with bots trying to get my shoe game.
Games change. Yeah, I miss those days when like a shoe would release and then it would be like the shorts, the shirt, the hat, the socks. It'd be like the whole thing, So
like, what happened to monochromatic fits, bro? The drip, the you want the red Nike hat, you can wear red T-shirt, red shorts, and red dunks.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I still get my style from. Is like it's almost like I'm a logo for whatever it is. But no, that's when it started for me. But I've always loved shoes. I was a Nike guy for forever, so I had the opportunity to go to Portland a couple times, and just a lot of opportunities to meet different people in the space, and it's been a fun journey, and I still enjoy doing it now.
And the collection has evolved into some personal relationships with some of the Nike skateboarders. You've told us off camera before, just hanging out, that you've tried the hobby of skateboarding. So how has being a professional baseball player and skateboarding, have any of your baseball skills translated to the skateboarding, or right now we're still early?
No, we're still. No, I wouldn't. Yeah, it's. I think I've tapped out of as far as I'm gonna get. As long as I can cruise through a city, that's all I really need. But no, skateboarding for me, I started when I was a kid. I remember, I was on a board when I was 2 or 3 years old or so, and I could always skateboard my whole life. And then, once high school hit, kind of stopped doing it for a while, and then I always had a longboard on me or something like that. But kind of, I think it was like after the 2020 season, or right before the 2020 season, I was kind of got a skateboard again and just started, going to parks here and there. I was in Arizona during COVID, and there was a bunch of times. So I went to all the parks there, and then I just, kind of got obsessed again. And that's kind of everything. My days usually around skateboarding, or everything I watch is skateboarding. And, my kids can skateboard now, which is pretty cool. And it's just something for me to like, it's always my outlet, right? Like after games, I'll jump on a longboard and just like kind of cruise a little bit. And that was kind of my outlet to just kind of like forget about things.
Wow.
Man of many hobbies. I feel like we've talked for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and shoes, skateboarding. There's always, I feel like you're always working on something, Jon. And now, I mean, you're going back home, right? St. Louis was the place you started your baseball career. You spent a couple years with the Marlins as their first base coach and outfield coach. But now you go back home, you get the opportunity to work for the organization that gave you the chance, gave you that ring on your finger. What's it like, this, anticipation of spring training? Eventually, you're going to end up, in April in front of your home fans at Busch Stadium. What's that going to be like? What is Jon Jay going to feel like putting that Cardinal uniform on again?
That's going to be exciting, right? Like that's where, like I said, I spent, I grew up there in the minor leagues, played in the big leagues there, obviously the World Series. So like so many great memories, right? With my family, my friends. So I'm looking forward to that. And it was cool. They had the winter warm-up. We had the winter warm-up a couple of weeks ago, and went and signed autographs and did that whole deal. So that was kind of cool just to do that again as a coach, right? I haven't, been out of that kind of side of things, and just to feel all the love and just to see a lot of familiar faces over there. So it's going to be exciting to go back to St. Louis, to go back home and, just make an impact on the organization that made, such an impact on my life.
It's crazy to think that, you've had this career arc already, and your career's taken so many twists and turns, and you're not even 40 years old yet. Like right there, you've accomplished so much, and you've been such a mentor for so many folks down here in South Florida. Baseball in South Florida is as big as it's ever been. How close are you to guys down here? I know you talk to a lot of young, guys in the minor leagues, guys that are in college. I know you, like I said, you've just been a mentor to so many people, and now you're in a different stage, right? You're approaching 40 years old. You're a coach. How close are you to guys? You still have close relationships with guys in the league, guys in South Florida. How do you go about, keeping those relationships warm?
Yeah, for sure. I think I've always made it known where like guys that came from here, like I'm very accessible. Like whatever you guys need, I'm here for you guys, right? Like I want to see everybody from here shine. I want to see people shine. That's it. Like, and I had so many people in my life that helped me out, so I want to be that person to other people. So yeah, I still keep tabs on everybody that's coming up. If there's somebody that comes up from South Florida, I'll try to make it a point to go say hi to them or whatnot. And then obviously the guys you grew up with here playing and that are still in the league, which it's pretty cool to see. And then it's cool too now to see even guys that came before me. I get to see them. A bunch. You see Mike Lowell on TV all the time. Raul Ibanez with the Dodgers. So these are guys that I always looked up to that are from down here that set the example. So it's just cool that South Florida thing, right, where there's so many guys around. Eric Hosmer's out there. Just recently retired doing his thing in the podcast space as well. So it's just cool to see so many guys from down here shining.
That's amazing. And I have a funny story. You're going to appreciate this. Columbus has a mentorship program. Okay. So I'm in the Arizona Fall League and this is supposed to be like the pinnacle of my career. And someone signed me up for a Columbus mentorship program. And I'm like, who's going to mentor me? Like usually get paired, like it's a young alumni and you get paired with someone in the same industry as you. Okay. So I'm in the Arizona Fall League. Someone signed me up. I don't know who it was, my mom or my dad, whatever. I get a text from John and he's like, yo, I'm your mentor.
I'm your guy.
He's like, and I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I'm your mentor. I was like, bro, he's already been a mentor. So that's what I mean when you say like people already had looked up to you for so long. And again, you like kind of forged the path for so many baseball players down here in South Florida. So again, from my standpoint, I was always so appreciative to you, so appreciative to your family. It's you've had a hell of a ride. It's not over yet. There's still a lot more to be accomplished. You got the skateboarding, you got the shoes. John, we got a question for you about last year, right? The Toad brought this up, and Toad knows it better than I do, but the Luis Arias slap. What Toad, go.
You are the first punching bag in the history of first base coaches in Major League Baseball. How did that start with Luis Arias? Was it a organic sort of thing, or did he come up to you in the locker room? He's like, every time I hit a single, which is going to be about 600 of them this season, I'm going to whack the shit out of you. Did it start suddenly one day, or was it premeditated?
No, it was super organic. I mean, you watch Luis play, right? The guy has a ton of energy. He just brings it every single day. I mean, I can't say enough good things about the guy on and off the field. He's ultimate professional. He's a great guy, works hard, like everything's great. So yeah, I remember the first time he got on, he got a hit and he just looked at me, gave me that face. He was fired up and just like, give me a whack. And I was like, dude, what are we doing here? And then like it just became a thing. And obviously it was pretty special. And I think it's pretty cool looking back now at, the guy that just won 3,
batting
titles in a row.
3 in a row
was the guy that, we, so to watch that and to witness that and to be able to say I coached him is something that's pretty cool.
I mean, I don't know how you took so many of those beatings, bro. I mean, some of those were, he got you good.
No, he hit me hard a bunch of times. And it was kind of funny because after like, hey, he's hitting you like weird. That's right, your heart's over here. Like you got to switch it up on the other side. But yeah, it was great. And like I said, like he's awesome. Like you watch him out there play and how hard he plays and how tough he is. It is pretty cool.
What is going on at first base? A guy draws a walk or he hits a single. What are you telling somebody when they get to first base, and how much chirping is actually happening between a first baseman and the guy who's on first? Like what are some of the more maybe interesting things you've heard down the first base?
Guys will catch up on the bases, right? Like a guy will get off first base and they'll kind of start catching up or whatnot. And I'm trying to give him all this information, but I'm a guide there, right? I'm just a guide. I'm there to remind them of different situations, what's going on. And, it could be early in the game and, we want to be really aggressive or, we're down a bunch of runs. We don't want to be aggressive or whatnot. So I'm just trying to give them little pointers and give them a little bit of edge. But, with the pitch clock, it's been interesting, right? Where there's not so much time in between pitches. Yeah. So, everything happens a lot faster than you'd want, So for me, it's really like I'm trying to spit out a lot of information in a little bit of time. So now it was fun. Like I enjoyed those 2 years at first base. I got to learn a lot, got to see a lot of, got to see so much from the field's perspective. And, it's pretty cool where I was able to catch up with a lot of guys that I, played against, right? Yeah. Like, be on first base and see Freddie Freeman out there and, Bryce Harper, different guys like that, which is pretty cool where, I came up and played against those guys for a long time. So, it was fun. It was a good little ride there for those 2 years at first base.
Are you a talker? You're talking a lot to those guys?
It just depends. I'm very respectful to the mood of the guys, right? Like there's sometimes guys, they're feeling it, they got a couple hits and they want to talk a little bit more, or they've struck out 2 times or made an error and like they
You're
don't
like a
want to
therapist now, bro.
Yeah, so like it just depends what's going on. And the same thing with the umpires. It was cool to just kind of catch up with umpires and guys that I had so long and different things like that. And we bring up different situations that happened in the past or whatnot. And so it was very interesting to be at first base. It was super cool.
How's your back cadence? Back.
No, it was good. It was good. You gotta be watching out. You gotta be watching out. And there's sometimes I'll make a couple different noises just depending on what's going on. But yeah, definitely. It is nerve wracking too to be out there. Right?
That's a lot of focus.
Something
bro.
goes bad, and everyone's just looking at
Everyone's
you.
looking at you.
What happened? But nah, it was a lot of fun. And like I said, I got to learn a ton. And Skip Schumacher was awesome and just entrusted me over there and just really letting me run and do things. And it was a good time.
We're going to put you on the spot. How many times did you challenge something that was right or wrong? Like when you threw up the earmuffs?
Oh, no, I don't do anything. I learned early on. And you see it all the time, right? You see what guys are like, they get thrown out second right away. They're like, no. And then you're like, dude, you're already out, right? So, and honestly, like, it's so hard. Like, I give the umpires a lot of credit. It's so hard. Like, some of those split-second decisions are ridiculous, right? Like, and then, like, you see a challenge and you watch it up there and it's literally a split second. It's like, wow, so it was pretty cool watching them hear the sound. They really listen for the sound of the mitt and
the tag
and the foot hitting the bag. So it was pretty cool to be over there and see some of these situations. But yeah, sometimes some of these close calls, it was interesting.
How do you pick your sneakers for a game day? Is there do you have it planned? Some people meal prep.
Yeah.
On Sundays, do you sneaker prep on a Sunday?
I mean, I have a sneaker prep for the season, yeah, for sure. But just depending on the uniforms, right? Like, we obviously wore the Sugar Kings jerseys on Saturdays, which were red with blue, so I knew I could rock like red with baby blue or whatnot. So I'd have a couple pairs picked out with different colors of whatever uniforms, and then kind of it was easier when I was here in Miami, right, where I can just go into the vault whenever I wanted and grab a bunch of stuff. So I had some
the
fun
vault.
with it.
You got to trademark that.
Yeah.
John Jay's vault.
Inside Jay's vault. There it is. But I think that my favorite pair of shoes I got to wear with the Dontrell Willis's with the teal uniforms on Fridays in 2023. That was super cool. Like the first time I wore those, it was like, man, this is pretty sweet, So
that's friend of the program, D-Train.
That is, I saw that one.
That's our boy.
That was a good one. Nah, D-Train's a man. Funny, back in the days we used to play UM against the Marlins, right?
Yeah.
So in 2005, he opened up against us.
Wow.
And I think we got him for like 5 runs.
No.
Yeah. We had our lineup.
Did you get him? You got him?
I mean, I think I hit like a jam job dribbler infield hit, but we had Ryan Braun and Gabby Sanchez. We had a lot of guys that play in the big leagues, but it's spring training, right? Like it's his first start. He's just getting warmed up. Guys are getting one at bat, whatever. But we did well against him, and it was super cool. Where he came up to us in the clubhouse after, and he's like, "Man, you guys are good. Like you guys." You guys can really hit, like go out there represent, and you guys have a squad. So it was pretty cool. Like, that's how my relationship started with Dontrell, and then obviously, it's pretty cool just to be able to wear the shoes with the Martins after that, which is cool.
John, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say you coached first because fundamentals were your thing, right? Like you were very fundamentally sound as a baseball player. How often did you find yourself like trying to tell guys like this is what I would have done in this situation, or was it more like, hey, I know the player, you guys kind of do your own thing. I'm going to give you as much information as I possibly can, and let's see.
It's not about me anymore, right? Like that's just like what I think. Like I had to, kind of bottle that up and just give them a quick, almost like a little resume of what's going to happen type of thing like that. And then because I just feel like that just doesn't work. Like what I did, nobody wants to hear what you used to do. Like it's irrelevant, right? So, but those are little side conversations you have later on, right? Where you can kind of just say like, hey, whenever you see this situation, you can take advantage by doing this or that. So, and that's pretty much what I tried to do at first base, right? Like looking for tips or tells on pitchers, or like, look, hey, the left fielder's playing way down the left field line. If the ball goes anywhere in the gap in left center, like let's take advantage of it. So it was fun. It was fun to kind of survey the field and like, almost like I was still playing, where I can make kind of these little decisions and help out.
It's crazy. You don't even think about like the coaches on the field and how important they are, right? I mean,
as a fan, you talk to anybody like, oh, what's the first base coach even doing? They're just hanging out,
collecting equipment over there.
That's true.
Now you got the mitt, the Evo shield on the elbow. Jeez. All right, would you have been a oven mitt guy?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And
And
just
I was an everything guy though,
Th-
but
ju-
I got hit by pitches. Like that's like
Just another thing to throw the Nike SB logo on.
yeah, no, but I got hit by pitches, so that was okay to wear. Like I actually broke my wrist one time by a hit by pitch.
Oh.
So
Who got you?
Gio Gonzalez, our boy.
Oh, my.
Yeah, hometown.
Wow. What did he tell you afterwards?
Nah, he felt terrible. He
I'm
felt
sure,
terrible.
that's
He felt
horrible.
horrible. He
You
felt
knew right
horrible.
away?
No, honestly, the X-ray came back clean, and I just thought like, I got hit by a pitch. I've been hit,
Yeah.
100 times. So, but yeah, came back broken, and that was in 2016. So I ended up missing about 2.5 months or so.
Wow.
Yeah.
Our boy, bro,
So-
Gio.
Miami on Miami crime.
Yeah.
Hate to see it.
John, what was your favorite memory playing baseball in Miami? University of Miami.
University of Miami, my favorite memory would have been, going to the College World Series. It was something that was, it was a dream come true, right? Like you're playing on ESPN, and like, at that time I remember like Nike came and just hooked us up with so much gear, and like it was just super, super cool to be able to go to Omaha and represent UM and be on TV and do the whole deal. And then I think I got to go back to like my freshman year, super regionals, playing against UF at home. Like that was like one of the craziest series.
Insane.
Yeah, it was
Insane environment.
insane. Yeah. So that was cool. But I mean, I have so many different ones. It's
Right.
like but going to the World Series as a freshman was something that was like really, really cool. See 25,000 people playing in front of 25,000 people. I was like, what is going
Wow.
on here? It was great. And like my first game was against LSU. It was like packed with purple and yellow. It was one of the most surreal moments. It was pretty cool.
People don't realize Mark Light. You said, remember, like you're playing at Mark Light. Like if it was a comfortable, that place is loud, man. People don't realize it's a small environment compared to what baseball stadiums are now. But Mark Light Stadium for a UF game is the biggest ticket in town. And at a time when maybe the Marlins weren't as good, that place is getting 5,000 people, what they know. And then there's people standing around the edges. Mark Light Stadium is a tremendous venue. And
Left, right, left, right, left, right.
Toad's a Seminole, bro. So he's going to.
Hey.
We never lost to them. So.
Come on, man. I'm surprised I haven't been stuffed in a locker yet. Belen, FSU,
Bad combos.
leave me alone, bro. What do you want me to do?
So, bro, Mark Light, in terms of playing environments, what's your favorite stadium to play at? Big league, college, whatever it is.
Ooh, I mean, Busch Stadium was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to play in front of the St. Louis fans, and for that to be our home fans was unbelievable, right? It was packed every single day. People were very knowledgeable of the game, and then especially for a guy like me, right, where like I take pride on fundamentals, right? Like so, like and defense. You make a defensive play, and you'd get the same standing ovation you get for hitting a game-winning home run, which for me was one of those awesome moments. And then on the flip side, the rivalry, right? Like I got to play with the Cubs as well, but playing in Wrigley Field is like, it was unbelievable, right? Like a day game in Wrigley in the middle of the summer is like, there's nothing better than that. Like, people are fired up, they're out there, the rivalry's huge. And that was one of my, like, those are some of my favorite moments, is going to play in Wrigley as well on the road for sure.
You've been on both sides,
Yeah.
Cubs and Cardinals side.
Yeah.
And you've played for some sick organizations like Cardinals, the Cubs, D-backs, Padres. Who else? Who am I missing?
White Sox,
White Sox?
and the Angels.
The Angels.
And the Royals. Forgot about I had 2 months.
Kansas
stint with
City's
the
a
Royals.
great, great
No, I've been
section.
very, very lucky in my career. And like, honestly, like, I spent 6 years in St. Louis, and then I bounced around a ton. And people always ask me like, man, you bounced around a ton after. And I was like, yeah, but the best part about it is like, I got to meet so many people.
Yeah.
Like players. I mean, I got to play with so many different players after that. And then I got to meet so many like, front office guys and just managers and coaches. So like, I just got to meet so many people those last 6 years. It was super hectic. Like my wife and I, we moved so many times with the kids and all that. But it was just, I look back now, I'm like, man, it's cool. I got to meet so many different people, which is pretty cool.
Bro, he's not going to remember this, but you came to Marlins Park when you were the D-backs, and I went with my two little cousins, so they were tiny at the time. And bro, we went up to right field. There was a sign that said there's no usher here. So like you're at your own risk. So we want to sit all the way at the top. And my little cousins were screaming, and bro, he chucked the baseball
Dart.
all the way up into the, and bro, it was like, obviously, like I said, people just wanted to go see John. And you go to Marlins Park, it might have been empty, but half the stadium was there to root for you, because it was, it is what it is. You were a son of Miami, and that was the most important thing, was to make sure we went to go root on Jon Jay. John, we're gonna get you out on this. I know you are always preaching fundamentals. You preach. We love glue guys, because I think that's what's so important in a locker room, right? No one wants to talk about the guys who are the mesh, the people who get the stuff done. You talked about the unsung hero plays in St. Louis that people appreciate. What do you tell up-and-coming baseball players? What do you tell kids in high school to focus on? How can they make it to the major leagues? If maybe their talent hasn't come through yet, what do you say to those kids that, hey, You still got a chance. You got to work hard. You got to work on the fundamentals. How do you go about your business? How did Jon Jay do it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's the most beautiful thing about baseball, right? Like you continue to keep growing and like something clicks and then like from one day to the next, you're like, what, wow, this guy, I just saw him yesterday and now look at this guy. So, that's just my message every day for guys. Like, hey, just get a little bit better every single day, right? And watch the game. Like watch what other guys' mistakes are so that you don't make those same mistakes. And if you do that and if you work every day and get the most out of your talent, like you never know what's gonna happen. And the biggest thing is being prepared, right? Like, you start off the year on the bench and you're moping around and you're not taking care of business the way you should. And then, opportunities come up. A week later, somebody gets hurt, somebody needs a day off, and then you're not ready to play. So always be ready. Like if you stay ready, that's the biggest thing you can do is stay ready and just have that attitude. And the same thing, right? Like we talked about a little bit before, but when you're in high school, right? Worry about making your high school team and dominating in high school. If you dominate in high school, then you'll be able to go to college, right? Now you get to college. If you make the college team and you start as a sophomore, junior, and you dominate, then you might get drafted. So like worry about where you're at dominating that part. Don't think, oh, I'm in high school, oh, I want to get drafted, or, like, hey, are you playing as a sophomore in high school right now? Or you're worried about that. So, like really worry about where you're at in that moment. And if you do that, then, you get lost in that right there. Then, you're going to look up and you're like, wow, what just happened here? So that's, stay in the present and just work hard and keep your head down and you never know what's going to happen. It's pretty much my message to guys.
Well, Jon, it was a long time coming, but thank you for coming on, being part of the Bullpen Mafia.
Thanks for having me, guys.
The St. Louis Cardinals, we're going to be watching. Obviously,
we're going to try to catch you up at spring training.
Toad and I like to make baseball trips, bro. Maybe we go take Toad to,
you gotta come
to Busch
to
Stadium.
I've been to Busch. I've been to
I've
Old
never
Busch.
been.
I went
you
to
gotta come to New Busch.
Okay.
New Busch.
Come check it out.
That's
check out Ballpark Village right behind there.
Yeah.
They got the Cardinals Museum, the Hall of Fame now. It's pretty cool. So got some things to do.
Must be nice.
We're gonna see the heat on the feet.
The heat on the feet.
I'll be in the dugout now.
But it's easier to match now with red. No, you got white
I got
and
some
red.
red
I mean,
stuff
yeah,
from
you
before.
definitely
I
got some
red
heat,
stuff
bro.
from before. Yeah.
And for sure,
Nah,
Nike's
Jon Jay does not recycle shoes, bro. You're not gonna wear the old stuff, are you?
No, of course.
Oh, okay.
It's even better. The old
The
stuff's
vintage,
in now,
right,
right?
right.
Everything's
How
in
many
now.
shoes are you gonna have in your locker?
Oh, I don't know.
Over under. Over under 18.
Probably over.
Do you have a suitcase just for the shoes for the road trips?
I mean, no, I don't bring that many shoes on the road either, though.
Okay.
So I'll probably bring for a 6-game series. I'll wear one each day. So I'll bring 3 pairs. So it just depends. It depends what's going on.
No biggie.
Depends what city we're going
No
to
biggie.
and all that. So we'll see.
We appreciate Jon. We appreciate you. I appreciate you as a friend, as a mentor. You've meant so much to so many of us down here in South Florida from a baseball perspective, but more importantly, the stuff you do off the field. I know you have a great foundation, all the work you do with the Boys and Girls Club, right? So we appreciate you. You always have a home with the Mafia. We can't wait to see you in the St. Louis Cardinals uniform again, man.
Cool. Thanks for having me, guys, and continue success. Keep doing it. Keep representing.